Celebrating Black History. Brought to you by McDonald's, Citizens Energy Group, Indiana Funeral Care, Harmon Construction, Eskenazi Health, Barbecue Heaven, Cornerstone Construction, and Bose McKinney Evans.
All this month, we're celebrating Black history. But for anyone who wants to celebrate their own history, it can take a lot of work and a lot of research.
For many Black and African Americans, tracing their roots can be challenging, but advocates say it's not impossible. News 8's multicultural reporter Katira Winfrey joins us now with this story. Katira.
Well, Phil and Alexis, tracking your roots as a Black or African American person living in America, you'll often hit a brick wall. After slavery, there were census records, but when it comes to tracing back to slavery, you might end up looking at property records, since slaves were considered property. Genealogists say it may be a painful journey, but one that'll better help you chart your own chapter.
Eunice Trotter has always been a writer. But this chapter of her life, she's written a book, Black in Indiana.
The narrative for Black people is just not a slave narrative. It's a human existence narrative.
It tells the story of her family's history in Indiana, a story she tracked down partly through census records, city records, and newspapers.
Much as we go to register to vote, Black people had to register their existence.
In her search, she found Mary Bateman Clark, an indentured servant who successfully filed a lawsuit with the state Supreme Court, which she says helped legally end indentured servitude, slavery by another name, in Indiana.
For some people, it could be somewhat difficult, particularly people, who are starting with zero information. But I always tell them that there's never zero information because you start with yourself.
She's helping guide others, holding genealogy courses and reenactments. So are people like Charles Barker, president of the Indiana African American Genealogy Group.
Marcus Garvey said mankind must know their history in order to chart their destiny.
So are people like Kisha Tandy, curator of social history at the Indiana State Museum.
Free access for researchers to the Indianapolis City Directories, Sanborn maps, and base maps.
Tracing history is often a matter of using other people's stories, often told in newspapers, to find your own. But there are also more painful searches.
When we want to research beyond 1870, we have to research property records, because we were classified as property.
Even though this book tells a part of Trotter's story, it's not the end of her search for history.
Knowing who you are gives you a confidence, a self-assuredness.
And this Saturday, Trotter will be sharing her story at an author's book fair at Ujamaa Bookstore at the Flanner House. She says don't put off talking to the seniors in your family and try to collect some of their memories. Reporting in the studio, I'm Wish TV News 8's multicultural reporter, Katira Winfrey.